My cold, abstinent husband took off his gold-rimmed spectacles. With the same motion he used to wipe a scalpel, he polished the lenses unhurriedly. Then, from a hidden compartment in the bookshelf, he drew out a silver-gleaming chain. Click! He locked the study door from the inside. Step by step he came toward me, tore the divorce papers to confetti, and tossed them skyward. Paper snow. His voice, though, was ice-quenched in fire. Serena, 3 years of marriage, have I left you unsatisfied? So now you want to go find someone who can satisfy you? I stared at Dr. Sterling, my heart ricocheting inside my ribs. It's all an act. Act, Serena. Don't freak out, he's only a paper tiger. What damage can a frigid academic do? Today we divorce, period. I'm not letting my youth rot in this mausoleum. I inhaled, squared my shoulders, and forced every tremor out of my voice. Dr. Sterling, what is this, illegal detention? Let's part on good terms, don't make it ugly. He smiled. Not the polite smile he hands out to students, but the kind a top predator shows when the mask slips and the fangs glint. He dangled the cold chain in front of me, the links chimed, bright, dangerous. Ugly? He repeated the word softly, tasting it. I think it's just starting to get interesting. He advanced. I retreated until the small of my back met the hard edge of the desk. No way out. I snatched the nearest hardcover and hurled it without thinking. Stay back! Dr. Sterling didn't even flinch. Gray landed on his shoulder with a dull thud, then thumped to the carpet. He never blinked. The eyes that usually peered down microscopes now mapped my face inch by inch. That gaze made my scalp prickle. Such feeble strength? He closed his fingers around my wrist, effortless. His hand was cold, carrying the scent of disinfectant and fur from years in climate-controlled labs, but the chill burned like fire against my skin. Help! Why is his grip so strong? Aren't bookworms supposed to be fragile? Liars! I struggled. It felt like being clamped in iron. Dr. Sterling, let go, you psycho. He bent, warm breath brushing my ear. The tickle made me squirm. He noticed and deliberately leaned closer. Serena, the silk pajamas you gave me for our anniversary weren't this color. There's no man's shirt like this in your closet either. And this photo. From the scattered confetti he picked up the fake cheating evidence Chloe had helped me stage, me in skimpy silk, nestling against a ripped poolboy type, sugary smile in place. Dr. Sterling traced the guy's abs with one finger, motion languid, gaze arctic. Body fat under 8%, biceps 42 centimeters pumped, classic product of a fitness studio. High burst, low stamina. He lifted his eyes to mine. Can he satisfy you? His scholarly tone ignited me. Whether he can is none of your business, we're divorcing. Divorce? He sounded as if I'd told the century's best joke. Who agreed? He yanked me against him, the chain met my wrist. Click. A soft, metallic snap. I looked down at the silver bracelet of captivity, mind blank. He'd actually locked me up. WTFX3. Script rewrite. Chloe, your intel never flagged bondage kinks. Dr. Sterling savored my shock, lips curving. He lifted my cuffed hand like a curator admiring art, then whispered against my ear, each syllable a spell. Now let's begin our after-dark lab session. Topic: how, precisely, to make you satisfied. No lights on in the study. Curtains sealed every crack of outside glow. Only the spectral glow of his monitor lit his refined features, half savior, half demon. He pressed me onto the desk, the chain's other end locked to a leg. Humiliating and electrifying. Stay on mission, Serena, you came to divorce, not for captivity roleplay. But damn, this version of him beats the ice sculpture. Get a grip. Where's your pride? Dr. Sterling, this is felony. Let me go now and I'll pretend nothing happened. I bluffed. He ignored me, opened a folder stuffed with videos. Neural conduction. Pain threshold response. Muscle spasm triggers. Mitigation. Dopamine peak lab logs. Study hall? Only a bio prof could make kink look like peer review. He played the first clip, a white mouse convulsing under timed shocks while a detached voice narrated. Stimulating specific neural nodes elicits maximal stress response without permanent damage. My stomach lurched. Why show me this? Dr. Sterling finally looked away from the screen. Spectacles caught its light, hiding his eyes. Simply informing you, Serena, I know your body better than you do. I know where to press to make you cry, and where to make you. A pause, voice a demon's hush. Beg me. A shiver shot from tailbone to skull, fear laced with something illicit. He stood, circling, cold fur scent now edged with predation. His fingertip, icy and precise, landed on one spot through my thin blouse. I nearly melted, acid, tingles, static fireworks scorching every limb. Posterior cervical plexus superficial exit, he lectured, clinical. Gentle pressure induces systemic weakness. OMG, zero strength left. Knowledge really is power. I sagged, only his arm kept me from sliding to the floor. Dr. Sterling, you bastard. Tears cracked my voice, real or staged even I couldn't tell. Bastard? He chuckled, fingers skating down my spine, each vertebra a fuse. Patience, you'll soon meet the genuine bastard. His hand settled on the small of my back, kneading. I became boneless, whimpering like a kitten. Stop, dying here. Feels 100 times hotter than DIY. Just as my vision blurred, my phone blared, Chloe. I lunged for my bag. My phone. Dr. Sterling picked it up, answered on speaker. Chloe's brassy voice burst out, Serena. Did the iceberg sign? Are you free and ready to hunt poolboy types at the bar? Silence thick enough to slice. I could count the slow, deliberate beats of Dr. Sterling's heart. Then, in the calm baritone perfect for science narrations, he said, she's unavailable. We're busy. Busy having a private anatomy tutorial. He hung up and looked down at me, eyes black ice depths. Pool boy types? I woke the next day feeling disassembled and reassembled, especially my lower back, sore and limp. That animal Dr. Sterling had treated me like a living textbook, running experiments all night. I shifted, the chain on my wrist jingled, still locked, now to the headboard. Empty space beside me, sheets still holding his cold fur scent. Slender sunlight slipped through the drapes, dust motes dancing. Our master bedroom, he'd carried me here after the study. Jerk. Worked me half to death, now off lecturing his darling students? I sat up in the crumpled men's shirt, buttons gaping to reveal love bites, his data set. I flushed crimson. On the nightstand, a glass of water, 2 pills, and a note in Dr. Sterling's crisp, razor-sharp handwriting. Morning after pill or ibuprofen, pick one. I'll be back at 4. Wait for me at home. He's giving me a choice? Gee, thanks. At least he remembered painkillers, how thoughtful. Wait, why should I take anything? Why should I wait? I crumpled the note, hurled it to the floor. Run. I had to run. If I didn't, his research would kill me. I scanned the room for something to pick the lock. Hairpin? Too thin. Lamp base? Too heavy. My gaze landed on the bedside table, the gold-rimmed spectacles Dr. Sterling had left there last night. Perfect. I grabbed them, straightened one temple, and eased it into the keyhole. Thank you, teenage crime shows. Holding my breath, I teased the pins the way I remembered. 1 minute. 2. Come on, you piece of crap lock. Where does a psycho even buy this stuff? Just as I was about to give up. Click. A whisper-soft snap. Unlocked. Heart racing, I uncoiled the silver chain, bolted barefoot into the hall without even changing clothes. Empty living room. I sprinted to the foyer and yanked the front door open. Outside, brilliant sun, clean ocean air. Freedom, here I come. 1 foot over the threshold, a flicker above the door stopped me cold. In the corner of the ceiling, a pinhole lens blinked red. A camera. When had he installed it? I jerked my head, sweeping the whole space. Between books, behind a potted palm, even inside the AC vent. Dozens. The maniac had turned our home into a surveillance lab. How long had I been living under his gaze? Since I filed for divorce? Or the day we said I do? Ice shot up my spine, my limbs went numb. My phone vibrated in my pocket. Trembling, I pulled it out. A text from Dr. Sterling. A photo. Me, frozen on the threshold, eyes wide with terror. Underneath. Serena, I told you, wait at home. Don't even think about running. Otherwise the next experiment won't be on the bed. I collapsed on the cold tile, every ounce of strength drained. The image on screen felt like a sneer. Dr. Sterling was an invisible net, and I was tangled beyond escape. Monster! What does he want? How can he play respected professor by day and psychotic jailer by night? The doorbell rang. I flinched, terrified he'd come back early. But on the video intercom I saw Chloe's anxious face. Serena! Open up! Are you okay? Did that sicko hurt you? Chloe, my lifeline. I scrambled over and flung the door wide. She burst in and hugged me so hard my ribs creaked. Thank God you're alive. When your call cut out I didn't sleep. Did Dr. Sterling? Her gaze dropped to the red bracelets on my wrists, the bruises on my neck, she gasped. Holy, he actually locked you up. I sobbed, pouring out every scrap of last night's terror, though I skipped the parts that made my cheeks burn, just said he'd gone crazy, chained me, threatened me. Ellis's brows shot up. Respectable on the surface, twisted underneath, I knew that Ice Face was bad news. She checked my bruises while cursing. We call the cops. This is false imprisonment. Police? I hesitated. One call and the scandal would explode. Dr. Sterling's reputation, both our family's business alliance. Family shame stays inside. And how could I describe last night to a stranger? Chloe rapped my forehead, exasperated. Still dithering? Waiting till he buries you? Then she leaned in, voice dropping, eyes sparkling. But seriously, turns out the guy's got stamina, huh? Me, why is her radar always in the gutter? I shoved her, blushing. Focus! This isn't the time. Sure it is. Riley's smirk said she'd seen through me. You filed because you thought he was decorative. Now that he's proved otherwise, how's it feel? Horrible. He's insane. Yeah. She pointed at my mouth. Then why the smirk? After a whole night you're practically glowing. Speechless, I touched my cheek, hot, probably pink. Chloe sighed, the all-knowing best friend. Stop faking. You're thrilled and terrified. Still, those cameras are sick. Let's rip them out. She began hunting them down. Jesus, here's one, another behind the fern. How insecure is this guy? Balancing on a chair, she reached for the AC vent. Beep beep. The keypad lock sang. Door swung open. Dr. Sterling stepped in 2 hours early, strawberry mousse cake box in hand. He took in Chloe mid-sabotage. The mild look vanished. Air solidified. He toed off his shoes, set the cake on the coffee table, then fixed Chloe with arctic eyes. Sam. Breaking and entering, plus vandalism. Shall I dial 911 for you? Chloe flinched, climbing down. Your vent looked dusty. Thought I'd clean it. Believable? Not even to herself. Ignoring her, he turned to me, gaze asking, "This is your rescue squad?" I stared at my toes. Professor, Serena's my friend. I'm allowed to worry, Chloe snapped, grasping for dignity. Worry? He chuckled, sliding an arm around my waist, cool palm branding my skin. I went rigid. My wife is my concern. He spoke to me, voice silk, message meant for her. Serena, did I neglect you so badly your friend feels obliged to intervene? His fingers pressed, a quiet warning. Jerk, same old trick. If I squeaked yes, tonight's curriculum would be advanced anatomy. I forced a smile that felt like plastic. No, you've been perfect. Good. He kissed my forehead, satisfied. Chloe's jaw dropped, she resembled a hooked fish. She had to be wondering how last night's mortal enemies had morphed into lovebirds. Dr. Sterling straightened, civility erased. Sam, unless you plan to dust the entire condo, leave. My wife needs rest. A naked eviction. Chloe flushed, shot me a "you are so spineless" glare, grabbed her bag, and stormed out. Click of the latch, and silence swallowed us. Instantly his embrace tightened. Unwell? His breath scorched my ear. Yet you seemed lively while tattling to your friend. I dared not move. I didn't tattle. No? He snorted. Then why was she dismantling my property? Before I could invent an excuse, he released me. Braced for wrath, I stepped back. Instead, he opened the cake box. A perfect strawberry mousse cake, my favorite bakery. He slid it toward me, voice flat. Eat. I blinked. Carrot after stick? More like fatten the specimen before dissection. I didn't touch it. Silence thickened. Finally, quietly, wearily, almost hurt, he said, I scrolled through 6 months of your search history. You bookmarked 137 food channels, 82 were desserts. Your shopping cart changed with the seasons, yet you kept the voucher for this place. I thought, you still liked it. He looked at me, and the madness was gone. In its place was something like the bewilderment of a child who has broken a vase and doesn't know how it happened. What did I do wrong? What do you want? Why won't you just tell me? That man in the photo, what does he have that I don't? I was completely stunned. He wasn't raging, wasn't threatening. He was asking, dead serious. The confusion and hurt in his eyes were real, and I suddenly understood, this man I'd always seen as towering, invincible, was, inside our marriage, perhaps even clumsier than I was. His brain, crammed full of knowledge and logic, had no subroutine for something as unreasonable as feelings. He loved me the way he conducted research. Clumsily, obsessively, and with a heat that terrified me. My heart skipped a beat without warning. At that exact moment Dr. Sterling's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, brows pinching almost imperceptibly. He walked onto the balcony, voice kept low. I caught scattered words: project, data, stop pushing. When he came back his face was darker than before. He looked at me and asked, tell me, Serena, what do you actually want? I was struck dumb. What did I want? 3 years ago I wanted to marry him, to be Mrs. Sterling. For 3 years I'd wanted him to love me, to hold me, kiss me, like any normal husband. 3 days ago I'd wanted to leave him, to go find a passion that burned for real. But now, staring at the mingled obsession and bewilderment in his eyes, I felt uncertain. I want you to treat me the way you did last night. The thought shocked me so badly I flinched. Have I lost my mind? Locked up one night and already brainwashed? While I was wrestling with myself, my own phone rang. An unknown number. Instinct said hang up, but Dr. Sterling flicked a glance and commanded softly, answer. No room for refusal. I swallowed and picked up. Hello? A bright male voice burst through. Hey, is this Serena? It's your personal trainer, coach. You've ghosted me for 2 whole weeks. Did you forget your torture coach? It was the model, no, the fitness coach. To make that fake affair photo believable, I'd actually enrolled at a studio and posed with their hottest trainer. I shot a guilty look at Dr. Sterling. He stared back, expressionless, yet the gaze alone made it hard to breathe. Dead, dead, dead. Of all the times to call, you pick now. Are you his undercover agent? I forced a laugh, scrambling. Oh, coach! I've been swamped. I'll come next week. Don't bail, Casey. You paid for an annual membership. Think of the days you're wasting. And you told me you wanted peach emoji glutes. I designed a brand new program just for you, guaranteed results. The call was on speaker. The words peach emoji glutes floated across the living room like a death sentence. The temperature seemed to plummet to freezing. I watched a dangerously slow curve lift the corner of Dr. Sterling's mouth. Before I could speak, he plucked the phone from my hand. I was still blinking when he lifted it to his ear and, in the cool, clinical register he reserved for rival scholars, said, "Hi, I'm her husband." Coach faltered, "Huh? Casey's married?" "Yes," Dr. Sterling answered, tone flat but crushing. Dr. Sterling, Eastbrook University, principal investigator. He always introduced himself that way in academia, the shortest path to establishing intellectual dominance. And now he was using it on a would-be rival. Pure dimensional slaughter. Silence on the line. A gym trainer versus a tenured professor, the gap was a canyon. My wife's fitness plan is now under my supervision. You're relieved of the duty. I'll personally collect her body metrics. As for those peach emoji glutes, he paused, eyes raking over me like a scalpel. I'll make sure she develops them. So don't call her again. Understood? Quiet voice, every syllable a knife. Coach squeaked, "Why yes, sir," and hung up. Swift, clean, merciless. I sat gaping. So this is a bloodbath in the wild? Using the most academic language to commit the most savage act. He just said, he'll measure my body data himself? And train me for peach emoji glutes? My face detonated in a blush. Dr. Sterling tossed the phone back. Looking down at me, he announced, "We need a talk. About your social circle." I assumed the talk would happen in the study or the bedroom. Instead, he ushered me straight into the car. "Where are we going?" I buckled up, heart skittering. Not some forest clearing to dispose of the body, right? Wait, he's an intellectual, surely too refined for blunt violence. He'll anesthetize me, turn me into a specimen, display me in his lab with a plaque, "Anatomy of an Unfaithful Wife." The more I pictured it, the paler I became. Dr. Sterling glanced over. "Stop the mental horror movie. How does he know what I'm imagining? Hidden pinhole cams aren't enough, now he's installed a mind reader too?" "Your face is an open book," he said, pulling out of the complex, a faint smile in his voice. We glided to a stop in front of a luxury hotel. The banner read, "Annual Gala of Eastbrook University School of Life Sciences." I stared. "You brought me here for this? You're Mrs. Sterling." "Attending the functions I'm expected at as part of the job." He unclipped my seatbelt and smoothed a stray lock of hair, gentle as if handling porcelain. But I knew the gesture. Public branding, leading me into his territory, tagging me for every witness, "She's mine." Hand in hand we entered the ballroom. Gold chandeliers, champagne fountains, academic royalty. The moment Dr. Sterling appeared, flashbulbs of attention ignited. "Professor Sterling's here. Your neuroregeneration paper was transcendent, doctor. And this must be Mrs. Sterling, stunning." Eyes pinned on me, envy, curiosity, judgment. I kept my smile stapled in place, playing the flawless wife. He worked the crowd, never releasing my hand. His palm was furnace hot, a shackle of intent. We were seated at the head table. Under everyone's gaze he performed perfect husbandry, choosing bites for me, fielding toasts. A textbook act. Keep acting. Any onlooker would nominate us couple of the year. Only I know that under the table his knee is slowly, rhythmically, brushing my leg. The whisper of contact through thin silk made me forget how to breathe. I shot him a covert glare. He ignored it, pressure increasing. His hand slipped beneath the linen and settled on my thigh. I jolted, nearly yelping. "Lunatic! We're in public. There are 100 witnesses." I pinched him hard. He trapped my fingers, interlacing them with his. Leaning in, lips at my ear, he breathed, "Don't move. Squirm again and I'll kiss you right here." Amusement and threat twined together. I went statue still. Just then a woman in a scarlet gown approached, new associate professor in his department, the one I'd seen in a photo tucked inside one of his monographs. Dr. Moore's gaze clung to Dr. Sterling like Velcro. "Professor Sterling, long time. I hear you're launching a new project. Any chance I could join the team?" She inched closer, acting as if I were decorative furniture. "Here it comes, classic mistress audition. Perfect, let him sample the outside world and kick the old wife to the curb. Ready to enjoy the show, I waited. Without even looking at Dr. Moore, Dr. Sterling turned to me, tender as twilight. Serena, what do you think? I blinked. Huh? What do I think? Dr. Moore wants in on my project, he explained, but my lab has a rule: no unmarried students, especially those prone to unrealistic fantasies about my marital status. His voice wasn't loud, yet the surrounding tables quieted as if he dimmed the sound system. Dr. Moore's face blanched tomato red. Unbothered, he dabbed the corner of my mouth with a napkin. My wife is possessive, he told the room conversationally, and terribly short on. I need to set her mind at ease. With that, he lifted his head and swept the room with a gaze so cold it felt like he was pronouncing an absolute truth. Every minute and every ounce of energy I have, apart from my research, belongs to her alone. On the ride home from the hotel, the car was silent. I kept my face turned to the window, neon rivers of city light streaming across the glass. My heart felt like those streaks of color, chaotic, tangled. Was he defending me just now? Or was it just raw possessiveness, the refusal to let anyone touch what's his? Jealous, insecure, was he talking about me, or about himself? Back at the house, I changed my shoes without a word and headed for the bedroom. Dr. Sterling stopped me. Serena. He rarely uses my full name, only when he's furious, or deadly serious. I paused and turned. He stood under the entry light, his tall shadow stretched long across the floor. This time he didn't crowd me, he simply looked. Why? Why what? Why did you force me toward divorce, like that? A faint rasp of restraint quivered in his voice. So here it comes. The question that has hung over me like Damocles' sword was finally dropping. I drew a deep breath and decided to throw caution to the wind. Because you don't love me at all. The grievances of 3 years exploded out of me. Dr. Sterling, we've been married 3 years. How many times have you touched me? How many times have you held me? You barely even look at me. Aside from your lab, your papers, your mice, do you even see your wife? I've been an idiot guarding this empty house, guarding a husband who treats me like air. I'm done. I refuse to live like a widow in everything but name. I finished shouting, chest heaving, tears slipping down before I could stop them. Dr. Sterling said nothing. He simply listened, and for the first time his usually blank face showed shock and pain. He watched me cry like a prisoner hearing a death sentence. A long, long time passed, so long I thought he'd never speak. Then, hoarse and deliberate, he said, I thought restraint was the best protection I could give you. I froze. What? The first time I saw you was at your father's birthday party. He lowered his eyes as if summoning a distant memory. You wore a white dress, feeding cats in the garden. Sunlight poured over you, you looked like an angel that glowed. He remembers our first meeting? I was sure he'd forgotten. Later, we married. His voice dropped even lower. I saw you every single day, shared a roof with you. I was so happy I thought I'd lose my mind. But I was also terrified. I feared my touch would soil you. There's a hideous beast inside me, one I barely recognize, brimming with filthy, frantic hunger for you. I fight it daily because I'm afraid it will escape, terrify you, hurt you. He lifted his head, his eyes were rimmed red. This man who's always cool and composed was bearing his weakest self. So I dared not touch you, dared not come too close. I believed that if I kept my distance, if I poured everything into work, the beast would stay caged. I thought that way I could guard my angel, but I was wrong. My control, my distance, in your eyes they became coldness, absence of love. I personally pushed the treasure I cherish most farther and farther away. My mind went blank. So, that's how it was? It wasn't that he didn't love me. He loved me, too much? So much it made him feel unworthy, made him afraid? My ridiculous fake affair scheme now looked like a bad joke. I thought I was peeling off his indifferent mask, only to discover I'd torn open the prison he'd built for himself. I'd released the very beast he'd fought to suppress. I stared at him, speechless. The anguish and regret in his eyes crashed over me like a hammer. All the grievances of 3 years had stemmed from a monstrous misunderstanding. The one-way love I believed in had actually been mutual, we'd only sprinted in opposite directions. What have I done? I drove him insane. I let the most terrifying creature in his heart loose. Guilt surged, wave after wave. I wanted to tell him the photos were fake, the whole thing staged. I wanted to apologize. But the instant I opened my mouth, he stepped forward and handed me a folder from his pocket. "What's this?" I took it with shaking hands. "Open it." I did. Page 1, Coach's detailed profile, birth date, Jordan, education, resume, romantic history, even which fitness studio he visits at which hour and which members he's befriended. Exhaustive, terrifyingly precise. I flipped. Page 2, Coach's finances, bank flows, credit card statements, online loan records. One overdue loan of $50,000 was circled in red, 92 days delinquent. Pages 3, 4, all dirt on Coach, black and reeking. The more I read, the more my hands trembled. This wasn't a background check, it was dismantling a life down to the bolts. How had Dr. Sterling gathered it so fast? What power had he mobilized? I didn't dare imagine. "Dr. Sterling, you." I originally planned to erase him, he cut in, tone as casual as a weather report. "There are many ways: stage an accident, or bury him under debt so deep he'd have to vanish from the city. With his social web, if he disappeared no one would look too hard." My blood chilled inch by inch. I didn't doubt him for a second. If he said it, he could do it. That all-powerful, ice-cold scientist possessed reach and ruthlessness far beyond my imagination. "But," he went on, eyes blazing, "I've decided to leave the choice to you." "What choice?" "The choice to destroy him yourself." He drew out a photograph, the intimate shot of Coach and me, and laid it beside a printed statement, Coach's signed agreement to resign and leave town voluntarily. "You can send this photo to his girlfriend. You can expose his debt to the fitness studio. Or you can simply use this waiver and make him disappear." He watched me like a patient devil. "Pick one, Serena. Show me how you dispose of the man who made you unhappy with me." I held the thick folder, it felt burning hot. I finally understood what sort of man I'd provoked. I'd lit the fire, now it threatened to burn me to ash. Looking into the madness and anticipation in his eyes, I knew I had no retreat. Today I had to give him an answer, or that poor, innocent fitness coach might actually vanish. I inhaled, lifted my head, and met Dr. Sterling's stare. Those eyes seethed with frenzy and expectation I couldn't read. My heart hammered. Every word I was about to speak would decide the fate of all three of us. No more mistakes. "Serena, you're an adult, clean up your own mess." I placed the folder, photograph and all, back into his hand. Then, in front of him, I picked up the fake divorce papers and tore them to shreds. His pupils shrank to pinpricks. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," I answered, each word ringing clear, "the divorce is off." He said nothing, he only stared, weighing my sincerity. I summoned every ounce of courage and stepped closer. "And," I whispered, raising a trembling hand to his cheek, "this photo is fake. The man was a model I hired, there's nothing between us. I did it because I thought you didn't love me. I wanted to force you to let me go, to give me freedom. I was wrong, Dr. Sterling. Terribly wrong." Tears burst free, I flung myself into his arms and sobbed. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I lost count of how many times I repeated it. 3 years of grievance, misunderstanding, fear, and the love that had just begun to bloom became salt water soaking his shirt. Dr. Sterling's body was rigid. He stood, letting me cling and cry. After an eternity I felt the faintest sigh brush my hair. Then cold, careful arms closed slowly around me. "So," his voice shook with disbelief. "You do love me. You only thought I didn't love you enough?" I couldn't speak, I nodded frantically against his chest. In the next instant the world spun, he swept me up off my feet and laid me on the soft wool rug in the living room. Leaning over me, eyes level with mine, all the madness, obsession, and pain drained away. What replaced it was a kind of pure, scorching rapture I'd never seen before. Like a traveler who's trudged through a desert for 3 nights and finally glimpses an oasis. He smiled. It was the first time I'd ever seen him smile like that. Not the polite, distant curve of lips he usually offered, but a radiant, almost blinding grin that came from the heart. Serena. He lowered his head and kissed me. This kiss was nothing like any of last night's. No punishment, no plunder, no venting. Only the treasured relief of recovering something lost, and a love that poured out everything he had. He coaxed my lips apart, claimed every inch, tangling with me, tender yet tyrannical. I answered clumsily. We were like two teenagers tasting forbidden fruit for the first time, telling each other of our love in the most instinctive way possible. On the carpet lay the divorce papers I'd just torn to shreds. Outside the window, the city sparkled with 10,000 lights. And in this tiny universe of ours, he and I had finally found each other. This time, no silver chain, no threats. Only willing surrender. I don't know how much time passed before everything settled. I was so exhausted I couldn't move a finger, clinging to him like an octopus. Dr. Sterling stroked my back in slow, gentle sweeps, soothing a frightened kitten. His chin rested on the crown of my head, his voice carrying a satisfied sigh. From now on, tell me what you want, straight out. With words, or with your body. I'll give it to you. All of it. The next morning, I woke in Dr. Sterling's arms. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, warm and golden. When I opened my eyes, his handsome face filled my vision. In sleep, the usual cold madness was gone, his brows were relaxed, harmless as the boy next door. He really is outrageously good-looking. No wonder I fell head over heels at first sight and insisted on marrying him. Who knew that beneath this angelic face lurked a devil? I was lost in staring when his lashes fluttered and his eyes opened. 4 irises locked. His gaze was clear, not the least bit groggy. Awake? His voice held the husky rasp of dawn, sexy as hell. My face burned, I tried to wriggle free, but he tightened his arms and pinned me. Lie with me a little longer. He buried his face in the hollow of my neck and nuzzled like a giant dog. So ticklish. This is the aloof Professor Sterling? Did someone swap him out? Still. I think I like it. We lolled in bed for more than half an hour. Then his phone rang, the lab, urging him to a meeting. Reluctantly, he got up. I leaned against the headboard and watched him dress. White shirt, black trousers, each button fastened all the way to the collar. In the blink of an eye, the cold, abstinent Professor Sterling was back. But before settling his gold-rimmed spectacles, he glanced over his shoulder at me. Possessiveness and love in that gaze were thick enough to drip. Wait for me at home. I'll check your homework tonight. Check. What homework? Before I could process, he dropped a good morning kiss on my lips and strode out, light-hearted. I lay alone, replaying his words, cheeks on fire. After the misunderstanding cleared, it was as if Dr. Sterling's hidden meridians had been unblocked. By day, the revered Professor Sterling. By night, an insatiable beast. The scholarly kind who wields professional knowledge to tease you into bliss. I was giggling into my hands when Chloe's call barged in. Serena! Are you still alive? Did that Sterling freak hurt you? I've got a lawyer on standby, we can file a restraining order any second. Her righteous fury made me squirm. Yow, things sort of changed. What kind of change? Did he cripple you? No. I twisted the sheet. We got back together. 3 beats of silence, then an earth-shattering shriek. What? Back together? Serena, did a door slam your head? After what he did? Do you have Stockholm Syndrome? It's not like that. I spilled the whole story, years of misunderstanding, Dr. Sterling's theory that I held back because I loved you too much. Ellis fell silent again, longer this time. So, she said, dreamlike, he wasn't impotent, he was hyperpotent, afraid he'd break you, so he kept bottling up? Pretty much. And your fake affair flipped his switch? Now he's professor by day, beast by night? I flushed. Must you be so crude? Holy crap! Chloe shrieked again. Serena! What kind of mythical husband is this? Endangered species. The nation should protect him for science. Can't your focus be normal for once? We bickered a while longer. When I hung up, I was floating. I hummed around the apartment. The pinhole cams that once terrified me had been removed. Dr. Sterling must have done it quietly. The place looked the way it used to, no, better, because now it held the warmth of actual people. That evening he came home right on time, a black velvet box in hand. For you. Inside was a chain identical to the one that had once circled my wrist, only this one was solid silver, dusted with tiny diamonds that caught the light and glittered. Why give me this? More games? Before I could ask, he slipped behind me, chin on my shoulder. He lifted the chain, not around my wrist, but like a necklace, laying it against my throat. It fit perfectly, a delicate choker. He admired my reflection, eyes dark. Pretty? Staring at myself in the mirror, throat sparkling, I burned with an indescribable mix of shame and thrill. Dr. Sterling kissed my earlobe, voice velvet and low. Serena, tonight, let's experiment with a new project, shall we? From then on, my life turned upside down. Dr. Sterling's possessiveness hadn't diminished, it had intensified. But he transformed it into lavish devotion. He took over every detail: food, clothes, transport. He cooked for me himself, designing each meal by nutrition science, stockpiling energy for the next project. He stuffed my walk-in closet with the newest season outfits and bags. My woman deserves the best. He even personally supervised my workouts. Reason given: let's sculpt those peach emoji glutes. Each time I collapsed on the yoga mat, he stood by, examining my curves with laboratory precision, then issued professional guidance. Sink your lower back another inch. Perfect. Hold that arc. Serena, your flexibility exceeds my projections. Help! Who can endure this? This isn't exercise, it's being visually strip-searched. So why am I so turned on? Our after-dark lab sessions multiplied in variety. Desk in the study, chaise on the balcony, counter in the bathroom, every surface became his bench. He'd deploy the most academic jargon to voice the lewdest commands. He'd perform the most tender motions while doing the filthiest things. From initial resistance to half-hearted refusal to craving more, I turned into a little succubus who couldn't live without him. One whim, I carried a bento to Eastbrook University, wanting to watch him teach. I arrived during a public lecture in a tiered hall. On stage he wore a white coat and gold-rimmed spectacles, every inch the eloquent scholar, quotes, data, irresistible poise. Co-eds in the audience gazed with hard eyes. Humph, ignorant little girls. You only know his A side, his B dash, C dash, D sides are mine alone. Just as I gloated, he sensed something and looked straight at me through the crowd. At an angle no one else caught, he curled his lips in a feather-light smile, predatory, carnal, meant only for me. My heart skipped, cheeks ablaze. Beast! Flirting in public, how dare he? That night I told him. He pressed me onto the bed, kissing my ear. That's nothing. Next time, sit front row. I'll lecture, just for you. On last night's project report. Later I asked, had I not confessed, would he really have gone after Coach? He was quiet a long time, then held me so tight I could barely breathe. Yes, I was insane with jealousy. I can't bear anyone, in any way, near you. Serena, you're mine alone. My goddess, and my forbidden sanctuary. Looking into the devotion and obsession in his eyes, I knew, we'll be tangled together for life. Fine by me. After all, who could refuse a man who's a saint by daylight and my rabid hound after dark? Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, please like and share with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.